Hi Sixth Form, I'm Mr Halsall and welcome to Psychology at Haysfield. We are doing this live from my dining room table. That's unfortunate that we couldn't do it from a psychological point of view and do it from the couch to make Sigmund Freud feel better about things in general, but unfortunately I couldn't balance my phone properly in order to let you see me. I am genuinely disappointed to not be here today, and I'm genuinely disappointed to not be seeing you. Sixth Form Induction Day is one of my favourite days, and it's a shame that it's not happening this year. But the reason it's my favourite day is because I get to meet all the new students. And Haysfield is a fantastic place for you to learn and for me to teach. And I cannot wait to see you all in September. Now, psychology is a subject which will enable you to display a huge wealth of skills. And psychology students are some of the most multi-talented students you will meet. Psychologists have highly analytical brains. And an A-level in psychology will develop and enable you to take other people's views, apply them, evaluate them, and in some cases totally disagree with them. But it's not just that. A psychologist will also have a very strong knowledge of science, particularly biological science, with the ability to dissect, literally in some cases, but metaphorically in most, a brain, and display exactly how this most complex part and interesting part of our body works. Equally, psychologists will be strong mathematicians, and an A-level in psychology will show future employers and universities that you have all these skills. It is a fantastically wide course and interesting course, and I thoroughly enjoy teaching it, and I'm absolutely sure you will enjoy learning it. We look at all manner of subjects. Perhaps my favourite is social influence. Within social influence, you'll actually learn how to make people think, and how to ensure that people think the way you want them to think. That may not thrill your parents, but it is always an interesting and worthwhile lesson for us. Equally, we'll look at memory. Why can we remember things? Why is a human being's memory so good? Believe it or not, it is. Compared to a lot of species, our memory is excellent. We look at attachment. The great apes are separate in this, in that we do form attachments. We do live in groups. Why is that? What is the reason for it? What beneficial factors are there, or is it simply something psychological? We look at psychopathology, or effectively when things go wrong, and we look at mental ill health in all manners within that. We'll also look at psychological approaches, which is where I was saying about the analytical aspect. In this, you will learn numerous different theories about how the brain works and numerous different theories about where psychology comes from. You will also learn research methods and how psychologists have, throughout history, researched the brain and researched how it works. Biopsychology is a huge part of the whole course, and you will need to know how the brain works and how the brain is structured. Going into year 13, we'll look in depth at gender, and we'll learn exactly what the difference is between sex and gender, which is of course one of the most up-to-date and important topics that we look at today. We also look at forensic psychology, which is hugely popular and will enable you to understand exactly what the work of a forensic psychologist is. If you're interested in criminology at university, this is the subject for you. And finally, we will look in depth at schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is probably the most devastating of mental ill health. It's also one of the most regularly discussed and yet hugely misunderstood illnesses there is there. If you want to have a proper understanding of what it means to be schizophrenic, psychology is a subject that will enable you to do this. You've been working on your transition work, and I've been delighted to be getting that in and been delighted to mark it. The next step is to ensure that you have this textbook. It is, again, mentioned in your transition pack, and if you have bought it already, that is fantastic. If not, you do need to get hold of a copy as soon as possible. It is, I know, available on Amazon at the moment. I'm sure it's available everywhere else as well, particularly as the shops have just opened again. So please make sure you've got yourself a copy of that. And you've started to have a read it. Hopefully it will whet your appetite, and hopefully it will get you really interested and really excited about the subject. But it's not just going to be learning within the class. Psychology, as I've said, is a science, and it's a science about exploring human beings. So you will actually complete your own research whilst you're doing your sixth form studies. You will be psychologists by the time you leave, completing research, studying other members of the sixth form, which hopefully won't go down too badly. Secondly, it's not a subject that we only have within the classroom. We have been to several conferences, normally in Bristol, but occasionally we manage to go to London conferences as well. And this enables us to hear from and listen to some of the best psychologists there are. We actually attended a psychologist a year ago when we met Philip Zimbardo. For those of you who don't know, he is one of the famous psychologists, and if you've seen the Netflix film The Experiment, he is the psychologist that designed that. Psychology is going to give you the opportunity to do that. It's going to give you the opportunity to meet real academics, to meet and understand what going to university will be like. Psychology is also going to make you understand who you are and perhaps understand exactly why you have acted and why you do act in different ways. It's an exciting subject, it's a constantly changing subject, and it's a subject that really will keep you guessing to the last moment and getting you ready for your future life every single time. I'm thoroughly looking forward to meeting you in September, and I'm going to pass you on now to Mrs. Rennie so she can say hello. Have a lovely summer.
Hello, my name's Mrs. Rainey and I teach psychology A-level at Hayesfield. I'm really looking forward to you joining us in September and getting to meet you all. I know you're going to love the subject as much as we do. If you have a fascination with why we behave in a certain way, then every day you're going to get opportunity to understand what our behaviours just a little bit more, and maybe even get to answer some of those I wonder questions that you've had. So things like why we obey orders, understanding gender, explaining why we're aggressive, and looking into some mental health issues and what's really going on inside the brain. So this is a subject that's going to go way beyond the classroom, and I know that you're going to be sharing what you've learned with those who are at home. So I really look forward to seeing you all very soon and joining us in psychology.